Please welcome to the stage Alexandra Bell, President and CEO of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Conversations Before Midnight. I've spent the last 20 years working to reduce threats posed by weapons of mass destruction and could not be more grateful for the opportunity to continue and expand that work here at the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists as its president and CEO. I know I stand on the shoulders of giants like Rachel Bronson and Kenneth Benedict, my predecessors, amazing predecessors who are both here tonight. My thanks to both of you for your support, and I will do my best to continue your great work here. Thanks to all of you for being here tonight, supporting the Bulletin. I do give you my most sincere thanks. We could not do this work without you, and without the Bulletin, this work may not be done at all. The Bulletin is unique in structure and purpose. For 80 years, we have connected scientists, policymakers, and the public in a thorough, accessible, and sustained dialogue on how we save ourselves from ourselves. If we did not exist, you would have to invent us. Fortunately, there's no need. The staff at the Bulletin have been working at a relentless pace over the past year, racing the clock, as it were. The results are evident. Submissions are up, as is time spent on the site. Our editorial team, helmed by the great John Mecklin, is nimble, indefatigable, despite what seems like daily changes to the threat landscape. Across all our coverage areas, we are leading the global discourse on human-caused existential threats, including through our newest project, AI Power Trip. And this December, for the first time in years, and in celebration of our 80th anniversary, we will have a print edition of our magazine for all of you and for our loyal supporters. The reach of the Bulletin grows by the day, aided by John Pope, our unflappable Chief Audience Officer. Our newsletter and social media accounts are flourishing. We've more than doubled programming this year without a single new dime, a feat that would seem unreal if we didn't post it all on YouTube. We've covered every topic, from climate change to the next pandemic to the latest nuclear books and movies. In July, we co-hosted the Nobel Laureate Assembly for the Prevention of Nuclear War, which produced a declaration that has now been signed by 129 Nobel laureates. And tonight, I am very excited to announce that we will be hosting our first ever Doomsday Clock Artist in Residence, the Kronos Quartet. Just think, thank you. Just think of what we could do with increased support for our editorial and audience teams. In that vein, we are so lucky to be joined by our new Chief Advancement Officer, Barb Vickery. She and her team are responsible for this lovely evening tonight, and they're all working to make sure that the Bulletin is stronger than ever, equipped with the resources commensurate to the challenges we face. And make no mistake, as we mark the 80th year of the nuclear age, we are battling existential threats, old and new. In terms of nuclear dangers, I'm sorry to report that all the trend lines point to disaster. We are not just poised at the edge of a new nuclear arms race. We are already in it. It's just that most people haven't been watching. The calamitous effects of climate change are all around us. The region of Jamaica where I served in the Peace Corps is just the latest set of communities to suffer the consequences of extreme weather. As we deal with this reality, we must also battle against denial and deflection that will only serve to increase the effects of climate change. As a recent Bulletin headline reminds us, you can't reboot the planet if you crash it. While COVID-19 continues to drift into our rear view, new and re-emergent pathogens threaten our daily lives. Previously effective efforts to contain and control pathogens are faltering, and the global normative structure to control biowarfare still lacks legally binding verification mechanisms. Emerging and disruptive technologies hold the promise of a bright new future, but just like we saw at the dawn of the nuclear age, the interest in advancing these technologies is progressing faster than our means to understand, much less control, their potentially ill effects. We'll be talking more about that tonight. Each of these threats presents potentially irrevocable existential risks on their own. The problem now is that each of these threats can exacerbate the danger of the others. To further complicate matters, a shared concept of reality is under attack, as are academic institutions, the free press, and democratic structures. As we take on these challenges, we need to ensure that a new generation of experts is supported and strengthened. The Bulletin is proud that nearly half of our readers are under the age of 35, a rare feat in the publishing world. We are also proud to host and publish rising stars in our next generation programs. You'll be hearing from one of those rising stars tonight. Of course, there's also a need to ensure the institutional transfer of knowledge from one generation to the next. We cannot afford to lose the wisdom and expertise of people who've spent their lives working to reduce human-made existential threats. We were very sad to lose two such people over the past year, Board of Sponsors members David Baltimore and Richard Garwin. May their memories not only be a blessing, but a reminder to continue their good works. Indeed, with only 89 metaphorical seconds to spare, we don't have a choice. We have to work together. We have to find solutions. And it is here that the Bulletin plays its part by identifying, promoting, and disseminating expert ideas on how to manage the challenges we face. The public and the policymakers are able to take action. I know this is true. I know it's true because I was in the rooms where the research and analysis featured in the bulletins moved the debate. Some of you may not know, but I was once a speechwriter for the inimitable Rose Gottemuller, now a member of our board of sponsors. In taking on that role, I spent hours reading through all the most notable speeches on nuclear policy, trying to learn how to talk about the greatest threat to humanity in a way that inspired action over despair, resilience over resignation. I often thought if I could just find the right words, just the right turn of phrase, then people would stop ignoring the threat. In that process, I discovered two things. First, there is no single speech or turn of phrase, or for that matter, article in the Bulletin that will solve all our many problems. Success will come in the form of a dogged, persistent, relentless pursuit to understand and explain the nature of human-made existential threats and their possible solutions, delivered at volume and on repeat. The Bulletin has been at this for 80 years, and I assure you, we have no plans to relent in our mission, not in the face of the complex and interconnected challenges around us, not in the face of tools and technologies that are upending the very nature of truth, and not in the face of authoritarians who seek to undermine the foundations of science and democratic rule. The second thing I discovered is that I will never The second thing I discovered is that I will never write a speech as good as the one Ted Sorensen wrote for JFK just 7 months after the Cuban Missile Crisis. Before a group of graduates at American University, President Kennedy made an elegant case for peace, asking the listeners for patience, persistence, and empathy in the work to reduce and eliminate global tensions, traits we could probably use more of these days. What struck me most, though, was the call at the end of that speech, and here I will quote, "We shall do our part to build a world of peace where the weak are safe and the strong are just. We are not helpless before that task or hopeless of its success. Confident and unafraid, we labor on, not toward a strategy of annihilation, but toward a strategy of peace." Confident and unafraid, that's what stuck with me. That's how I have approached my work for 20 years, and that's what I will continue to do here at the Bulletin. Conveniently for me, these attributes are at the very core of what the Bulletin is and how we all do our parts each day to fight against midnight. Tonight, as you talk at your table, listen to our esteemed guests and hear about the critically important work of the Bulletin. As you reflect on our history and the fact that it is 89 seconds to midnight, I ask you to remember that while threats are on the rise and clouds do seem to be gathering at every horizon, we are capable of determining our fate if together we press on, confident and unafraid. Thank you.